Hello everyone, welcome back to SwitchUp. Now hopefully you watched the Nintendo Direct. I think there was something for everyone in there. Whether you thought it was overall good or bad, I thought it was amazing. It had so much in there. Even when you see things like Warhammer Space Marine getting given 3 seconds of on-screen time, as a DayZ fan from back in the day, seeing that that's coming is just brilliant. And then we've got all the Kingdom Hearts games, Kingdom Hearts 4, the Ocarina of Time remake. There is so much in there to talk about. The Xenoblade Chronicles games are interesting to me, especially the Switch 2 editions, because the first one they did, Xenoblade Chronicles X, a lot of people really did not like the handling of it. And I critiqued the game in a few areas, but people specifically hated handheld and the way that that looked. So we're going to have a look at how the game currently looks if you're playing it on a Switch 2, in docked mode and in handheld, and then we'll go over to the Switch 2 edition to see if it is worth you upgrading. There is a price attached to that as well, so we'll talk about all of that. And yes, you can expect videos for a lot of the other things that are dropping and have been dropped already. Man, it's going to be busy. Alright, Xenoblade Chronicles, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition, is it worth it? Well, let's find out. So right now in docked mode, the game looks quite blurry if you're playing it on any type of TV really, but chiefly you've got a low internal resolution. It looks very soft, frame rate's 30 FPS. You see quite a bit of motion blur when the character's moving, perhaps related to image upscaling techniques. I don't know whether this uses temporal anti-aliasing or anything like that, but you'll also see level of detail draw distance is evidently struggling to keep things running. Distant objects load in and gradually morph and change as you get closer to them. But it's the overall look of just blurriness that stands out to me. A few different areas you can see. It still looks nice, don't get me wrong. I still think it's impressive the work that they did with this engine running on the Switch 1. But yeah, it's definitely in need of a bump visually. So then we go over to handheld mode. And firstly, without boost mode, yeah, it's a bit of a mess. It's not a nice way of playing it on Switch 2, but switching over to boost mode, it's a huge improvement. The small screen, running at that docked resolution, it actually looks decent. Yes, there are the same issues as you would expect from dock mode in terms of level of detail, but you just don't notice it nearly as much here, and it looks much more like a native resolution when playing in this mode. So this is going to be a really interesting comparison when we start to look at the Switch 2 build. So remember this exact shot because we will look at the same thing when we get to the Switch 2. So firstly, this is not a free upgrade. It cost me £7.99 here in the UK, and I guess it'll be your regional equivalents. And it's not free in terms of storage space either. It's going to take an additional 20 gigs of storage on your Switch, or at least require you to download 20 gigs to upgrade to the Switch 2 edition. Now, outside of the obvious, the higher frame rate and better resolution support, there is a hasty rumble added during key events, and they showcased the Ether Jet vehicle that you can now ride around in the open areas. There's other new gear that's been added and apparently a new minigame. As for your save files, they carry over without you having to do anything, as this is an upgrade pack rather than a standalone version. If you are interested in where to get that bike and where to get the quest associated with it, the hover bike, it's near the refugee village, and the minigame is tied to that as well. So on Switch 2 then, well, we have that big resolution bump, and of course the 60 FPS frame rate target. Let's have a little look at a few different scenes and see how that looks. Certainly in docked mode, things are looking pretty good. We don't have improvements to a lot of the textures. They've left things alone, but the level of detail draw distance definitely seems improved in a few areas. Have a look at this scene here as we move towards this object. Perhaps it's the resolution bump doing most of the heavy lifting, but as expected, it looks way better, nice and sharp in docked mode. And really that was my experience with Xenoblade Chronicles X as well, but the pop in there was absolutely terrible. Thankfully, I don't see that here. Shadow resolution is also improved, and aliasing due to the much higher resolution is much better than it was before. Which then takes us back to that point that I said before. Here was the handheld footage of the original version of the game running on Switch 2 using boost mode, which actually looked quite nice. You can compare that to the Switch 2 edition of the game, which is right here. Have a little look at them side by side. Which do you prefer? Now, I actually think here they've really left things alone more than they did with Xenoblade Chronicles X. Surely in response to the community, the models don't look like they've had this weird upscaling done to them. In fact, a lot of the softness of the original image remains, bar the higher resolution. And I think most people will be happy with that. Now, you never know. You might be looking at this going, wow, it's an over-sharpened mess. But to my eyes, at least, it looks fine. And in handheld, it looks decent. I could really see the over-sharpened look with Xenoblade Chronicles X. But yeah, as I say, I just don't see it here. 60 frames per second in both modes feels so much smoother. It really is consistent as well. And load times are understandably shorter. One minor area I did notice in handheld was a little bit of audio distortion. Now, I don't know if that was just one specific area and it was just this one use case, but it did stand out to me. Other than that, the sound and everything seemed okay. Just as with the previous Switch 2 edition, we don't have mouse mode or gyro or anything like that. Not something I think most people would be looking for in this type of experience, really, but I do always wonder if they're going to implement it. So that's it for Xenoblade Chronicles, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. 1080p, 60 FPS in handheld mode, 4K 60 in docked mode, the new additions of that vehicle that you can ride round on, and it's also used for the mini game. If you're interested in 2 and 3, I'm very much interested in 3 personally, those are coming at a later date. And the physical for Chronicles is coming on July the 30th, which is the same time that Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the Switch 2 digital upgrade pack, releases, with that physical releasing on October the 1st. My beloved Xenoblade Chronicles 3, well, that digital upgrade is the December the 3rd, with the physical launching at the same time, obviously getting those pre-Christmas sales. I would absolutely love a proper physical collection of all 3 games in one pack. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? 3 proper game cards, a nice box set, chuck a manual in there as well for good measure. Yes, please. You probably also saw there is a brand new game coming to the Switch 2, Xenoblade Genesis. That looks incredible. I am so excited to see exactly how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, let's be honest, Monolith aren't going to let us down, are they? So there we have it. Let me know down in the comments, what did you think of the Direct? Are you going to be picking up this upgrade pack? Have you already done it? Has it lived up to your expectations? I think they've done a better job than they did with Chronicles X, especially in terms of handheld mode and the overall look. It doesn't have that crazy oversaturated, over-sharpened look. And yeah, I'm going to carry on playing Tomb Raider now to bring you that video. A thank you to our Patreons, our members, all of you that enjoy the content. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!